In the last video I made, I reviewed some of the many bizarre creatures you could find across the galaxy. In this video, we're going to continue that theme and cover even more of those odd and or dangerous creatures. To start off, we have the Vixis, a creature loosely related to the Sarlacc we covered in the last video. In the dark jungles of Umbara, the Vixis would use its 7 long tentacles that resembled the vines on the planet to capture its victims in the dark and devour them using its long grasping tongue and sharp teeth. During the Clone Wars, on a mission to Umbara alongside Jedi Master Ponkrell, the 501st Legion would encounter this creature, and to the demise of one unfortunate clone, it would begin feasting on the battalion. However, they would manage to escape relatively unfazed, apart from the one aforementioned trooper. In addition, when Krell reveals his true nature at last, the clones would lead him to this same creature and use it to help detain him. Moving on, a creature with different origins in both Legends and canon would be the dreaded Tyranitek. In Legends, this monster would hail from the planets of Korriban and Drom and Kos. They were thought to initially be rancors morphed by the sadistic alchemy of the Sith. Created as war beasts against the enemies of the ancient Sith, these creatures were extremely violent to essentially any and every Force user. The Kasai who bred them even feared that the beast would eventually strike out against them. Famously, these creatures would guard the tomb of the Sith Lord Naga Sadow, and in this very same tomb, Lord Revan himself would defeat a pair of Tyraniteks completely on his own. Even powerful Jedi had troubles in their mission to exterminate these Sith-made beasts, displaying just how deadly these creatures are. The canon counterpart, on the other hand, originates from the planet Kashyyyk. The Tyraniteks had poisonous claws and, much like in Legends, fed on the blood of Force sensitives. Jedi Grandmaster Yoda and his Padawan Dooku would venture to Kashyyyk at some point and face one of these creatures.
Ah, Master Yoda. I was telling them the tale of when you faced the giant Tyrannitek on Kashyyyk. What a terrible beast it was.
One of the most mysterious creatures made its first appearance in A New Hope in the Death Star's trash compactor. This is, of course, the Dianoga, a creature with 7 tentacles and a long eye stalk protruding from the base of its body, hailing from the swampy, Hut-controlled planet of Vodrin. This species possesses several hearts, and some have even been known to be Force-sensitive. Spanning all the way to 10 meters in size and able to regenerate limbs, Dianoga also had the ability to camouflage. Chefs across the galaxy would make breakfast dishes using the meat of a Dianoga, and many found them to be very tasty if they weren't overcooked. If the meat was overcooked, the blood parasites in the tissue would be triggered, thus ruining the flavor. Apart from the one on the Death Star, there are other places where one may find such a creature. This includes the one living in the wrecks of starships on the junk planet of Bracca. This very Dianoga would be briefly encountered by Clone Force 99 in the year 19 BBY, though they would survive the encounter with said creature. Traveling to the swamplands of Dagobah, you may encounter a hideous creature known as the Swamp Slug, a slimy gastropod with 24 legs and an esophagus lined with thousands of teeth. The slug's large golden eyes are used to see under the murky waters, and it would use its antennae and sonar to locate objects. You may be surprised to hear that chefs around the galaxy also use the swamp slug excreted slime as syrup for their cantinas and diners. In addition, these creatures are closely related to the Quasil Ma on Rhodia, which we see in the Clone Wars, and the Nos monster on Utapau. While being trained by Yoda in the year 3 ABY, Luke Skywalker would discover one of these creatures, and they would also be used outside the palace of Gardula the Hutt. The next creature is yet another Sith war beast, a common beetle bred to savagely attack anything in its way, spraying acid and crushing its foes with its large pincers. The Saluth also possessed durable armor and 6 powerful legs, having been strengthened by the alchemy of the Sith Empire. Sorzis Sin would mention these beasts in her chronicles, and these creatures had such a fearsome reputation that a Grand Admiral during the time of the Galactic Empire would even name his Star Destroyer after the beast. The following creature would be the inspiration for hyperspace travel, massive space whales that migrate through the many star systems. Roaming in pods, the Purrgil live in deep space and grow to about 30 meters in length, able to travel through hyperspace at will. These semi-intelligent creatures have numerous fins and various tentacles behind. There's even another variant of Purrgil known as the Purrgil Ultra, growing far larger than the average Purrgil. This species actually relies on a bluish-green gas known as Clausen-36, found in the asteroid belt gas refinery and on Bespin, among other locations. This gas was typically used as fuel for hyperdrives, but also acted as fuel for Purrgil to store, allowing them to enter hyperspace as well. The ancient Dathomirians of Peridia would be the first to ride these creatures and discover their abilities. Ezra Bridger has many encounters with these creatures during the Age of the Empire, forming a very close connection with them, to the point where they even help him remove Grand Admiral Thrawn and his Star Destroyer from the galaxy entirely. Drifting through the vacuum of deep space or through hyperspace, spectral banshees known as Starwards would prey on those stranded and/or traveling past uncharted sections of the galaxy. These gaunt skeletal creatures possessed sharp claws, flowing silver hair, and piercing glowing eyes. Starwards are known to have the ability to touch the Force and have a strong hatred of any Force-sensitive, thought by the Jedi to be manifestations of the dark side. Hovering past starships, these creatures chose their target and would let out a telepathic scream, a terrifying and surreal experience for anyone on board. Able to pass through most objects, these beings would not be very much affected by weapons such as blasters. Despite being initially introduced in Legends material, a Starward would make an appearance in canon to Dr. Aphra and Luke Skywalker between the years 3 and 4 ABY. Finally, we have one of the mightiest of all Sith spawn, the Battle Hydra, created by Sith Lord and former Jedi Exar Kun, inventor of the double-bladed lightsaber and quite the powerful Force user in Legends. Created on the planet Yavin 4, these Sith warbeasts would withdraw back into the caverns inside the mountains on the planet after Exar's death in 3996 BBY during the Great Sith War. The beast had leathery scales, a tail possessing a poisonous stinger, and its most defining feature, multiple heads. They would typically have two, but could have a myriad of them. Their skin would be infused with Sith alloys, allowing the dragons to endure considerable damage, even from a lightsaber. The species was thought to be long extinct until Luke Skywalker would encounter the beast on Yavin 4 during the Age of the New Republic. Despite being fairly passive in front of Skywalker, these creatures could be extremely destructive if provoked or under the command of a Sith Lord. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I do have many others planned that I think are quite interesting. Have a great day. See ya.